Cam, it was only a matter of time when something positive, something good, something uplifting is happening in these United States of America. It is only a matter of time before Donald Trump starts rage posting about it. And that is exactly what happened after last night. We saw a huge upset in the New York City Democratic primary where Zohran Mamdani was declared the victor. And now Donald Trump is losing his mind, which should not surprise any of us. And we are going to get to the meltdown that he had, a really very strange freak out, honestly. But before we do, I want to start with a little bit of the speech from Zohran, his victory speech we saw last night. Took a shot at Trump, and I think that's probably why he got him so upset.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor in the day. Where hard work is repaid with a stable life. Where 8 hours on the factory floor or behind the wheel of a cab is enough to pay the mortgage. It is enough to keep the lights on. It is enough to send your kid to school. Where rent-stabilized apartments are actually stabilized. Where buses are fast and free. Where childcare doesn't cost more than CUNY. And where public safety keeps us truly safe. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism. To stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors. And to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party. A party where we fight for working people with no apology.
Zohran's campaign didn't just explode in this out-of-nowhere victory because obviously he had incredibly highly produced social media content and he's a cutie patootie, but because he was relentlessly on message, a message about affordability and fighting back against this Trump regime. And so it is no surprise that after his big win, Donald Trump's mouthpiece in the MAGA media and the Fox propaganda outlet was doing everything they could to try to attack that message from Zohran. And the way that they did it actually only helps him. It was pretty funny. Before we get into Trump's post, I think we just got to see what Trump's mouthpieces in the media are saying.
Mr. Mayor, it's not just defund the police, this candidate, Democratic Socialist. He wants to freeze the rent. He wants city-run grocery stores, social workers to replace the police because that's going to help. He wants $60 billion of debt fund for affordable housing. He wants free buses, no cost for childcare, baby baskets for newborn, and a $30 minimum wage.
Free buses, and as we can see in this graphic right here, attacking Zohran for baby baskets for newborns. Like, that is just absolutely hilarious that this is the socialism that we should be so scared of. But Donald Trump, like Fox, did his best to attack Zohran and really gin up the fear mongering. And we can see that in this post right here. And then, Cam, I know we have a lot to discuss about this campaign. Trump wrote on Truth Social, "It finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zohran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Dem primary and is on his way to becoming mayor. We've had radical lefties before, but this is getting a little ridiculous. He looks terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart. He's got AOC +3 dummies all backing him. And even our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, is groveling over him. Yes, this is a big moment in the history of our country."
Zohran is designed to piss Trump off. First of all, he is a charismatic, successful Muslim. Trump doesn't like it when other people are charismatic. He likes being the only charmer in the business. Second of all, I think MAGA world is more familiar with the fact that progressivism is a better tool to defeat them than the establishment Democrats who largely came out in support of Cuomo. So I truly do believe Trump recognizes that someone like Mamdani actually stands a better chance fighting him than someone like Cuomo. And Cuomo probably would have played a bit more buddy-buddy with Trump than he said he would, especially with ICE, seeing as his campaign was getting absolutely funneled money by people who directly profit off of ice. But it's just more vibe-wise, and I hate to talk about vibes instead of policy, but vibes were a huge part of why Trump won as well.
Vibes are important.
Zohran has been able to inspire hope.
Yeah.
And I believe that inspiring hope is a much more effective tool than cultivating fear and making people afraid. Zohran wasn't trying to make people feel afraid. Zohran wasn't trying to tell New Yorkers that it was the end of the world and Zohran's the only person who can save them. Zohran was telling New Yorkers that there's a brighter and bolder future ahead as long as we stand up for it and lift each other up. Zohran's campaign was positive. It encouraged New Yorkers to be in community with one another and support one another. And that's something that goes against the principles of conservatism, which are so much about isolation.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I wanted to play that Eric Adams clip on Fox, is they were trying to spin the message of Zohran's campaign as something scary, because fundamentally what Eric Adams will try to do, and it's important to remember that Donald Trump and Eric Adams are pretty buddy-buddy. We saw that moment a few months ago with Tom Homan on the couch with him after Donald Trump decided he would clear all his charges if Eric Adams was willing to break the law in New York for Donald Trump and allow these disgusting ICE raids to come into the city. But Eric Adams is now going to be the guy who tries to pick up the Cuomo mantle of no, 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 attack, attack, attack. And that just didn't work. Sure, Andrew Cuomo in the campaign was relying on the fact that he was a household name, that he had the political dynasty behind him. But really, more than anything, what he was trying to do at the end of his campaign was say that you don't want Zohran. You don't want these policies. It was all about what you do not want instead of this aspirational vision we've been talking about so much lately. And that manifests itself in some of Zohran's policies, but also, some people might talk about abundance and what Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson were talking about. There's different ways to present a better vision for what the Democratic Party is about. It manifests itself in different ways, but you have to talk about that. We can't just be opposition, which is why I'm very disappointed, but I guess not surprised, that there are some Democrats who are already coming out and saying, Democrats in Congress, by the way, we're not getting behind this guy. Someone who had a transformative movement, which brought in more than anything, young men, what Democrats have been clamoring for, and now they don't want to support him. Ken, what's your take on kind of the response from the Democratic establishment right now to Zohran's victory?
I mean, they say we need candidates who could bring in young men until it's somebody who challenges the establishment. It's like, no, We're not going to do that. We're going to do the sex predator. One of the things I say about Cuomo's campaign, other than the fact that he never really engaged with anybody, never really talked to the press, he was only running on stasis and, if anything, moving backwards. Whereas Zohran's message was about moving forwards. But when it comes to how Zohran resonates with young men, something that is so important to recognize is that he has resonated so much with young men without throwing trans people under the bus, without attacking wokeness, without doing a lot of the things that the Gavin Newsoms in the country think we need to do to win young men. It turns out young men can get excited about a politician who, like I said, is trying to inspire hope because of the messaging, because of the policies, and because of advocacy for affordability and things like that. So you'd expect maybe Cuomo to have done a bit better with young men. Cuomo is the frattier of the candidates. He is the one with the allegations. He is the one who has the more toxic relationship with masculinity, whereas Zohran is going on cute little bike rides with Brad Lander and like the anti-toxic masculinity of it all. But with Zohran, you see someone who brings out the best in young men, I think, and encourages positive behavior that is constructive and encourages us to help people. Like, one of the things I say when I'm being the woke superstar feminist that I always am,
and we love you for that, Cam,
toxic masculinity, is that being a man, being a strong man who's masculine, is not about who you can knock down. It's about who you can lift up.
Yeah.
And that's what Zohran's campaign was all about. And Cuomo's campaign was about stuff like fear-mongering, Islamophobia, and getting money from Bill Ackman, who is the #1 warrior against DEI. So one more thing that I really think is important to mention is that, Zohran's victory was not marginal. It was not some 8th round ranked choice voting miracle because of the people who ranked him #2 that were supporting Lander. This was an absolute devastation of Cuomo, and that could not have happened without the support of countless Jewish New Yorkers who did not buy into the fear-mongering that Zohran, who had pledged more money to combat anti-Semitism than any other candidate in the race. A lot of Jewish people didn't buy the fear-mongering, and they said, no, this is a guy who wants New York City to be in harmony. This is a guy that wants communities across New York City to be building bridges, not isolating from one another. And I mean, Cuomo won by 4 points in the Upper West Side.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Jewish friends and family you got in the Upper West Side, the home of Zabar's, which is like the capital of Judaism. But Cuomo only winning by 4 points in the Upper West Side. And Zohran won Chelsea, which has
where the rich people are.
It's so nuts. And it's
crazy.
Everybody's saying...
It does something which I think is so important, which is like when you're unapologetically you and you don't run away from your policies and you don't throw trans people under the bus, and you as a charismatic leader, I mean, both you and Zohran Cam, obviously two very similar guys.
Oh
Stop it. But like when you are unapologetically you, and like I get this from Tim Walz, who we love, and Tim detests us for that, but like, you disarm the lies.
To be clear, we mean my 42-year-old co-host Timothy Miller. We do not mean Tim Walz detests us for loving him.
No, Tim Walz loves us for Tim Walz love. But what I think is so important is you disarm the narratives of the right. If Zohran took the approach that Democrats have on, say, trans issues or immigration, and any time these claims that his campaign was ginning up anti-Semitism were brought to him, he just ran away, he would be allowing the right to win. But on free buses, on community grocery stores, on making sure that we can provide free childcare to everyone in the greatest city in the world, he is not going to back down. One of the most memorable moments of his campaign for me was when he put out, with about a week and a half, 2 weeks left in his campaign, as he was surging, and it really looked like he had a chance. He put out another video addressing the tragedy that has been the attack, the free speech abuse that has happened to Mahmoud Khalil. He did not say, ooh, this is getting close. Maybe we make it a little more conservative. Unapologetically him the entire time. And that's what people loved about his campaign.
I mean, moral clarity on Palestine is one of the examples of how this is a person with a spine. Mm-hmm. It was unbelievable to see a primary where a foreign country was talked about as much as the New York City mayoral primary. I have friends and family in Israel. I can only hope that the people in this country who are in positions of power also want those people to be safe. But the fact that in a New York City primary debate, they were asking if you would visit another country. I don't want Zohran going to England. I don't want him going to Mexico. I don't want him going to Canada. I want him to be in New York City, where there's a lot of problems that we need the mayor to get on. So the fact that, despite the fact that AIPAC was able to buy multiple seats in recent elections, the fact that they were able to spend a record amount of money, a record-breaking amount of money buying Jamal Bowman's seat, and Zohran did not bend the knee, start regurgitating AIPAC talking points and everything, not only did that go to show that this is somebody with a spine, it also showed us that people in New York City care more about a bold future, and they care more about a sincere leader with moral clarity than we care about the attempts that organizations like AIPAC and similar groups want to divide us and turn us against each other.
Yep. Zohran, he ate ice cream with me. He was your dating counselor. Now he's taking a step down from both of those fun jobs and activities to become, we will see when the general, but he's going to be the next mayor of New York City. Donald Trump is furious about it. And doesn't that just make it so much sweeter?
I'll tell you all one thing. If Andrew Cuomo decides to run as an independent, he is guaranteeing a Zohran victory, because he and Eric Adams would need each other's votes. So, Mr. Cuomo, I hope that the primary wasn't enough for you and you still got to get down and dirty. I encourage you, announce a race and allow you and Eric Adams' voting bases to eat each other alive.
And for more on all of this, Cam, because I don't know, I felt like this was a good conversation. Where might people hear more from you and I talking about stuff, or just you, if they like you more, and I'd be upset?
Jack is a regular visitor and contributor to the Bulwark's FY Pod channel, which is the Bulwark's Zoomer youth-based group where we talk about young people stuff that's exciting. We talk about electoral politics. We talk about AI. I talked to my ex-girlfriend about the fact that she thinks that Hassan Piker is so hot and always talks about how hot Hassan Piker is. Meanwhile, she dated me, and I am like the opposite of that type. I'm a little weakling.
You're putting on
So
some weight.
If you want some top tier commentary like me and my ex arguing about her Hassan obsession, come to the FY Pod channel for more me, for more Jack, for more of the gang.
Yep, and maybe I'll be your ex one day. All right, no, I won't. And until next time, I'll see y'all soon.